Welcome to Life
on
Life's
Terms
with your host Justin
and Chelsey.
Today's topics, we're going to talk about cell phone. Do cell phones trigger dopamine as games do? Is tech taking away patience from our children / society, community? Is tech conditioning our children into chasing that dopamine rush? And what could be the ramifications of tech towards our children in general? And is gaming addiction a precursor to substance abuse in the future for our kids? So that's a whole bunch of bullshit that we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
So first off, this is post floating for you.
Yeah, post float recording.
So
it was an amazing Mother's Day gift idea too. Like, I'm so grateful for that.
yeah, I was nice to those guys.
Yeah, so nice.
Yeah. So you had a headache, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was the day that I did the fun run, and I had this headache I just couldn't seem to kick kind of all day. And then went to the float with the headache, and I guess it can go either way. Headache could be intensified because you're kind of sitting alone with your headache, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or it can go away. And unfortunately, I was too distracted, I think is what the problem was.
Yeah.
And it was kind of flip-flopping back and forth for me.
Is it an experience you're going to do again?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
That place is beautiful.
Yeah. Did you like the fact of being weightless?
Yeah, it was so cool.
Isn't it crazy to feel how heavy you really are when you go to get up after that amount of time, right?
And you know what? I think on top of that, all my muscles, just my legs, I guess, from doing the fun run in the morning, they were kind of getting sore.
Yeah.
Like they were getting stiff after it was the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
And then when I got out of the water, like my legs were extra heavy. I was like, holy.
Yeah. I wonder, because you did acknowledge that you have epilepsy.
Yep.
I wonder how much this would affect your epilepsy in a positive way.
Yeah, I was actually wondering about that. I was thinking to, just because of the state of mind you can go in and the type of epilepsy that I have, like my seizures are only triggered when I'm falling asleep or waking up.
Yeah.
In that state, right? So I was kind of aware of that too. And I'm also sensitive to certain light, so at least nothing in there flickers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was wondering how it would affect me too.
Yeah.
I might want to look into it again before I do another float.
Yeah. Well, if you have the head halo though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess in my head it's not going under anyways.
And I'm assuming that you use the head halo.
Yeah, I tried both. Yeah.
Yeah. What did you like better?
The head halo only for the reason that my headache was stemming from my neck. So it felt like I needed extra support.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty cool though.
How did you sleep that
Amazing.
night? Yeah.
Amazing, yeah.
So a big thing too is there's so much magnesium in with the Epsom salt. And the best way to get magnesium is through the skin.
Okay.
So when you go to sleep after a float, it's pretty amazing how deep your sleep is. Like, it's like the best sleep ever.
Yeah. I mean, I still had to wake up to my daughter, but when I decided I was going to sleep, I put on this 10-minute meditation music thing that I usually listen to. I'm pretty sure I made it about a minute and then I was just out because I didn't even make it to the part where whoever it is starts speaking, which is about a minute or two in after the music starts. Nope, didn't even make it. I was just out like a light. Didn't wake up until a couple hours later when my daughter woke up.
How did you like the silence in the pod? Like in the, I shouldn't say pod because it's not a pod, but how did you like the silence inside the float tank?
At first, it was almost like what the deafening silence, you know that saying? I was like, oh my goodness, it's quiet.
Yeah.
But it wasn't bad. I'm kind of used to it when it comes to meditating, right? So
how'd you like the shower?
Well,
the
life goals. So I'm going to get one of those in my future house.
Yeah, like it's amazing, right?
Yeah.
I know. I love that place it feels like home. Like as soon as I'm there, I'm like, okay, show me my tank.
Right.
Like right away. Like, okay, let's go. Like they want, like, obviously by this point, they've all heard, like all the listeners have heard the episode with JP, Matt, myself. We're all friendly with each other. So like I feel like an asshole a little bit when I go in there and I'm like I just want to go to the fucking tank. I don't really have time to talk right now. I just want to go and float. Right? I'll talk to you after. But then you notice afterwards, so like I said this with Kenny. I noticed that after I felt like a pothead again. It's like, you know what I mean? I felt all dopey after the float because you're just that relaxed. You know what I mean? Did you think that you could go longer than an hour? Like, or was an hour just good enough for you?
No, when the hour was up, I was surprised. I was like, no, it has not been an hour.
I know.
Yeah, it was. Even though like in the very beginning, I was really fidgety and I feel like I was more, I guess, almost like fooling, like being silly, goofing around, like, woo, floating.
Yeah. Well, you know what I tried when I was first in there? Because they suggest that you put your hands over your head to float.
That's what I found the most comfortable.
Right? Yeah. So then what I did was I put my hands down by my waist and then try to push against the water.
Yeah, I tried.
It's pressure.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to do that, right?
It is.
So yeah, it was pretty amazing to have that kind of stuff going on, you know?
Yeah. I'm just thinking.
When you were floating, did you find that you didn't know where you were in the tank? Did that happen?
Yeah. I felt like I was moving all over the place, and I had the lights off for part of it, and then I just had the starlights on. And a few times I'd have to open my eyes to look at the stars because I would feel like I'm just floating away.
Yeah. Or like you don't know what up and down is.
Oh, not at all.
As much as you know that you're on your back.
Doesn't feel like it.
It doesn't, and all of a sudden it's gone.
Yeah.
Right? Especially, that's why, like I said, if you're going to be all hardcore before you went, it's like if you're going to be all hardcore, just go dark.
Yeah. I tried and
it's freaky.
It almost gave me the spins.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like when you're drunk and you get the spins, I was like, whoa, turn the lights back on.
So do you know why? Real tip here. Do you know why you get the spins when you're drunk?
No.
I've said this to Kenny.
I don't know.
So the reason why is because obviously the world's spinning, right? You're actually feeling that. Your equilibrium in your ears is so off that when you become stationary, not attached to gravity, you're zero gravity in your head. You don't know. And you become sensitive to the world spinning. And that's why you start spinning.
Crazy.
That's no bullshit. That's what alcohol does to your equilibrium.
Yeah.
It's fucked up, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So like that's why that happens. And that's why when you go into the tank, crazy thing I researched was, you know how the tank isn't really warm, but it's not really cold?
Yeah.
It's the temperature of your skin, right? Well, the reason why it's the temperature of your skin is so that you don't know what part of your body's in the water and what part of your body is out of the water. Right? Then secondly to that, the other thing is your equilibrium, because it's in the water and out of the water, it really doesn't know where it is either.
Oh, okay.
And so what it actually does is it creates a biome, like it creates zero. It's a biome that you're in. That's why you're in the tank.
Yeah.
Because like in the old tanks, when it was a pod and you would have to take that rickety shimmy that door to the side and then climb into the fucking thing, right? You didn't know how claustrophobic it was either, except for in the beginning.
Right.
So like
that
right
makes
away,
sense,
you'd have to calm down. Whereas in the tank that you were in, it's like a great big room.
Yeah.
Yet when it's dark, you still don't know how big or how small that thing is. All you know is that you're there. And the strangest thing is you become comfortable with the space size.
Yeah.
You don't know. You don't know how small or how big it is.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah, I did feel like a shift when I was finally done, like feeling what it feels like to float around and just goofing off. When I finally just relaxed, and then I had a moment where my headache subsided, and then I just got this feeling over my whole body, and I just let it happen. And I was like, this is amazing. I almost felt like, I don't know, like there was a blanket on me.
Yeah.
Right. It was. Does that make sense? It feels silly saying it, but it felt like there was a blanket on me and I was just floating. Well, obviously it was, but like in the air, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was really neat.
How quick were you to be okay with the naked thing? Because that's always, people get sometimes trepidatious about being naked and your clothes. But when you see it all set up.
Yeah. Once I seen the setup, I was like, man, I didn't really care.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Yeah. How did you feel prior to seeing the setup though?
I was nervous.
Yeah, a little suspicious
I was like,
of it all.
oh man, should I bring a bathing suit?
Yeah. And not tell them?
Yeah, that's what I was going to sneak in a bathing suit.
Yeah. And then, you know what the bathing suit would actually do is it would fuck up the feeling of being floating.
Yeah.
Right? The other thing that I noticed too when I book my time, I make damn sure that I have fuck all to do after it.
Yeah.
You see why now, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You don't want to do... There's some people, though, where it energizes them and they go off and they do shit. Nope.
You know what? I thought that... I didn't think it was doing that much to benefit my headache, but I'll tell you, when I left there, within 15 minutes on my drive home, by the time I got home, my headache felt like my head was going to explode. So floating made it way better, and I just wasn't aware of how shitty it actually was until I was out of the water.
Can you take Tylenol or Advil, or do you stay away from those things?
I try to avoid it, and
me too.
I thought that... I just needed to hydrate, but I guess it wasn't enough. When I got home, I took a ton of Motrin. Well, not a ton, but...
Enough to almost be an addict again.
Just close,
Pushing a relapse, but not all the way. Just suggestive to like harm reduction. That's all. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. So I guess you're going to be an advocate to float again?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I guess by this point, too, your blog would have already been out about floating. So go see that blog. That'll be up for a little while.
Yeah, if you haven't read it already.
Yeah. Because, like I said, floating is obviously a part of our microcosm, I think, for Life on Life's Terms podcast.
Yeah.
If you don't float, you're fired. just like Matt and JP said. If you work for them and you don't float, you're fired.
It just wouldn't make sense not to float if you work there, especially.
Well, I'm kidding when I say that. They don't actually fire you if you don't float. But they were saying it's just strange how it works out that the people who don't float that work there don't last. And the people that do float, like they float usually 2 times a week minimum.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right? Could you imagine if that was part of your life?
Yeah.
2 floats a week? How much of a different person? Look at how it was your first exposure and how much it changed you.
Yeah.
Now think if you were to like keep that in your repertoire.
Yeah.
As even a once a month thing.
Oh yeah, I want to make it once a month for sure.
And
that's the plan.
For Modern Gravity, it's very accommodating at $35 a month. Like it's mind blowing.
I know. I couldn't believe that when I seen the price on their website. I was like, what? That's so cheap.
Like I think I'm booking. I'll be there in the next couple days. I'm booked already, so I don't tell anybody when I'm going. Like, so
nobody shows up or what?
Well, like I don't even tell the people in my life that I'm going to do it when I go and do it. It's just I'm just going to go float soon, and they're like, oh yeah, that's good. When?
Just soon.
It's a secret.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Like that's what I'm going to... Because sometimes I'll go at midnight. Like I'll go in the last float. I'll go at like 10:30 and then do the midnight thing and then come home and then you want to sleep good? Fuck.
I bet.
Fuck. Especially if I'm in that realm where I'm where I'm working a lot at night or I have early morning things and I want to sleep in a morning. That's why I sleep in most mornings.
Do you?
Yeah. So like I get up at 4:30 in the morning and I look at things for about 45 minutes and then I go back to bed. Huh. But I'm up till I probably work till 11:30 every night and I start my day at like 9.
Yeah, but my day starts at 5 a.m.
I have to. It's only because of the market that I'm in right now. But I have to have 7 to 8 hours. I just function better with 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And if I'm getting up at 5:30 in the morning, especially because of the market that I'm in right now, there's no way I would get 5 hours of sleep.
Yeah. Well, that's like people don't understand why I like to put my phone away by 8 o'clock at night and be in my bedroom and reading or listening to a podcast or whatnot, like between 8 and 9 and go to sleep by like 9:30. People don't understand that, but I am up. My day starts at 5 a.m. and plus I'm up a few times in the middle of the night with my daughter. She's not a solid sleeper, so
not yet. She will be. Yeah.
Though. Oh my gosh, is that day ever coming? I have yet, like for me, 4 hours straight is a good one. Like I'm like, woo, she slept for 4 hours straight.
Yeah, that'll change.
Yeah.
That'll change. I know like my partner's like that where she goes to bed quite early in the evening and she gets up quite early in the morning.
Yeah.
But she's also like a government worker.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, right? So yeah, it's a little bit different for her in her schedule. That's just what it is. She slugs away at it.
Yeah. Well, and my body has adjusted to having a broken sleep anyways.
You know what though? I used to, even when I was in the survey field, I hated having to get up. Like when I was in the patch, I would have to be up for 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning. I fucking hated it. I just hated my life. Like,
just miserable.
I mean, when I was training, I liked it when I was fighting. And there's a couple of videos that I have up on Instagram where I was training here at the studio or whatever, and I liked it then. Like, I actually like working out before my coffee even.
Yeah.
Right? But I still like getting up, and I like being slow. I like doing my meditation right away. I'm still kind of dozy.
Yeah.
I like, I say to my higher power, help me today, get through another day. Let me be of service to you and allow me to help somebody that you put in my path, if that should be your holy will. And then I go about my day, right? And that usually happens before I even take a piss, before my feet even hit the carpet.
Really?
Yeah, I pray. Huh. That's like the first thought in my head.
Yeah.
And then from there, I'll do my business and then sit on my pillow, like my meditation pillow.
Right.
Do 10, 15 minutes, the very least, sometimes an hour. If I don't get 10, 15 minutes every day, I'll do an hour every second day.
Oh, okay.
On a full meditation. And then I'll start making my coffee. And then I start looking at when I'm going to go to the gym. That usually happens fairly quick. In the morning, I like going to the gym in the morning. So really, my business work day doesn't start till almost noon. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless I have a serious meeting in the morning, then I'll get up early and do things. But if it's not, then I don't.
So do I just fuck up your day when I'm like, let's record at 9 a.m.?
No, because then what I do is I just like go to the gym afterwards.
Okay.
I would rather do like in the morning that way. I mean, I'm amicable to anything. I'm just open to it all, really, right? I don't like living in a set schedule because doing that doesn't, I mean, then you get pissed off about things.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right? So like I don't like doing it that way. And more currently, I've been going to work out in the evenings, but I do better when it's in the morning.
Yeah.
Like I do way better.
There was a time back before I had a baby that I would get up at 4:30 in the morning. I had a roommate, so we really kept each other accountable. Either I go knocking on her bedroom door or her on mine, and waking up at 4:30, dragging our asses out of bed, going to the gym for an hour, shower at the gym, and then go to work. And that was when I had a 9-to-5 job. Like, I was dedicated.
So that's usually, so I actually, if I'm going to the gym in the morning, I bring my suit with me in a bag, put it in, but I go to a good gym. So I go to Evolve.
Yeah.
And there's more, I would say, executives that go to that gym. So like our lockers are, you have no idea. The showers at my gym are the same showers as the showers at Modern Gravity.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm not shitting you. Same showers. Yeah. So like, So anyways, when I get in there, my showers, the lockers, can accommodate my suit bag.
Nice.
Which is really, really nice. Yeah, it is. And then there's enough room in the bathroom to shave. Because I get like, now that I don't have a beard, I give myself a hot shave every second, third day.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I can actually do that there. Like I take a straight razor and shave my face and stuff. So yeah, that just all right happens. At home. Yeah, it's an okay place. Plus the equipment that's there, fucking mind blowing. I like the last gym I was in, I thought I was doing really good, and then this was like humbling. Getting in there and realizing where the fuck where I'm at with this equipment. I was like, oh my god, I'm weak. And then I look at what other guys.
You're weak.
and then I'm looking at what other guys are doing who are much bigger than me, and I'm like, I'm lifting more weight than they are. What the fuck's going on here? And it's just strange. And I shouldn't do that. I mean, I probably shouldn't go in the gym and look at another guy and be like, you're a fucking pussy. Like
someone's gonna be in there looking at you thinking the same thing.
Like you're lifting 35 pounds. What the fuck's, I mean, it happens in everybody's head. Nobody judges really. Like I'm not really judging. I'm more judging myself. I'm daring to compare. Yeah. Right. Is really what I'm doing. Which is a
dangerous thing to do because you could just feel.
You know what? I'm competitive enough that I'm okay with it in my own head.
No, see, not me. We've had this conversation. I'm just embarrassed about my lack of strength.
You know what, though? That being said, I think actually girls in that gym are much better than anywhere else I've seen. In all honesty. Like even
what do you mean?
Like even my partner, when we were looking at Evolve, she's like, that is so intimidating. Just like you said, you saw it and you're like, it's fucking intimidating. But you get in there, it's not even. It's not even. Like her and I were looking at all the equipment and stuff. We're like, I know how to use that. I know how to use that. And we just went about our thing and went and did it. And it's great. Like they have good kettlebells. They've got good resistance bands. They have the ropes, that you can swing back and forth.
That you can swing back and forth. I don't know if I could swing those ropes.
What do you call it? The machines itself are all isolated machines. So like before, when you had a bar that when you basically pushed it, one arm is compensating for the other. Mm-hmm. In this machinery, no.
Oh, okay.
Each arm is doing something on its own. It's all everything's isolated.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Yeah.
That's why it was a shit kicking for me when it was like, oh yeah, you can press 190 pounds. Guess what, son? You're doing 70. Fuck you. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's like I feel like a dick. Like
that's
this
really
is
cool though.
Like it was humbling. Mm-hmm. It was humbling to see how much the equipment really changes what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah. And then my whole game now is to get into the gym every day and do minimal. That's what it is. I go in and I do what I like to do. I don't do what I have to do. I like the kettlebells. I've taken a break from Kettlebell Keith's regime that he gave me. Yeah. Just so that when I get back to it, it's new again.
Okay.
And my body, it's a struggle for my body again. So I took a break from that, but I just do all of the stuff that I like doing in the gym. I don't push myself hard because my game is to go consistently enough. I want to be there 7 days a week, but I don't want to run myself ragged where I can't go the next day.
Yeah, because you're too tired,
That's
too
right.
sore.
So my game is to do, what I can every day. And consistency is what will win the battle, as opposed to like, let's go in there and rip your fucking arms off today. Well, that's not, what's that going to do? Now you're rehabbing for 2 days.
Yeah.
That sucks, right? So everybody has a different philosophy, and that's the philosophy that I find that works for me, is to go in on a daily contingency and just do what I can do, and that's it. So
I would need someone to make a workout plan for me. You know what? I really want to go see this gym. I'm probably just going to go in and ask for a tour.
Johnny Waco, man. Shout out to Johnny Waco for how to Evolve. We'll see what happens. Hopefully we can, we'll see what happens in the future. But yeah, I love it. Like I wouldn't, and like I said, it's a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
You've got dietitians, everything all in one place. So it's different than going to Gold's. Yeah. It really is. When it comes to trainers though, the trainers are a little bit more expensive there, but I would say that they're better than other places I've gone to. But if you really needed a workout plan, fucking YouTube.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking. An app. I could find one anywhere.
Yeah, just go do that.
Yeah.
If you can't afford a trainer. But the equipment that they have is the best that you could find, I think, right now in the city of Edmonton. Back to topics though.
Yeah.
Cell phones triggering dopamine as games do.
Yes.
So one of the things that I read just a little while ago was as soon as children, and I think you and what was her name? Angela.
Yes.
Were saying as soon as children see phones, their eyes light up.
Yeah.
Like it's crack in front of them.
Yeah, I've noticed even just in public places, other people's children doing the same thing. 1-year-olds doing it.
So do you think that whole entire light thing, so let's look at how that was developed and manufactured. Okay, a cell phone.
Okay.
One of the ways that it was, what we know for sure is that the people who made the VLT gambling machines from Vegas were a part of putting the screen together for cell phones.
Interesting.
Okay, so now the other piece to this is common knowledge. It's been around for a long time. Now the other piece to it is, what's so attractive about a VLT machine? It calls you in. It draws you to play it and spend your money.
The lights.
There's a game psychology behind it. It's called gaming. right? Like, and there's an actual game psychologist that pulls you in to spend your money. They're hired all the time in Vegas.
Really?
So if we look at cell phones, is that really what we're triggering in our babies' minds or the toddlers' minds, is this dopamine surge just by looking at the screen itself? And if so, are we making it conducive for them to go and find that same draw in the games that we allow them to play on, like PlayStation or whatever the hell new console is out
whatever's
there, right?
out there, yeah.
Yeah, or the next VR, virtual reality stuff that's coming, right? Are we pushing them towards that is kind of my thinking.
Yeah, probably without even realizing it.
So
to a certain extent.
So now how do we protect our children from that? If we can accept that premise, how do we stop it? And is there a way to stop it?
Manage it, control it. I think off the top of my head, I would just say limiting screen time, really, but it's everywhere, right? I mean, they use iPads in school.
Yeah. How do you then? Yeah, like and again, we go back to the last record, like one of the last shows that you and I talked about, where we're losing our parental guidance.
Yeah.
We're losing that ability. It's becoming. Let me ask you this. Do you think it was easier when we were kids for our parents to cut us off of things?
Absolutely.
Than it is today?
Absolutely. And we didn't have that many options. Like there was a TV, which I barely got to watch. And I don't think I even wanted to watch that much, right? But like being outside until the sun started to go down was the thing. And then a dial-up computer that me and my siblings would fight over. Whereas now you have cell phones, iPads, iPods, laptops.
Yeah, it's scary. A little bit. I'm scared. I'm trepidatious about the future. Yeah. I have suspense about it. I don't trust it for sure. You know, like I don't trust it. I think it's just scary to me that wholesale wise, we all just bought into this thing. You know, like we all just bought into what it is that we need in order for our kids to succeed in life, and it's coming down to technology. And that to me is pretty wild, right? I think we all need to start asking some serious fucking questions about what we're going to be looking at in the future. And we need to have, as Elon Musk put it, we need to have more oversight. Because the mass of the people are not being listened to. And we've all bought in that this is the right thing to do. However, in the next topic that we look at is tech taking away patience. I mean, look at the toddlers right now. Do they have any patience? They're on demand all of the time. And they feel afforded this ability to like call upon you as a parent saying, I want this right now.
Yeah, I think, that's inevitable. Toddlers are always impatient, but it seems like an electronic device is a go-to, a quick fix for any parent, or for many parents, I should say. I shouldn't speak for everybody.
So go-to in what way? Like it becomes a babysitter? Like if
there's a temper tantrum happening, then it's here, watch your iPad. Or if it's, I need you to be quiet, I need you to keep busy, I need to do this, and whatever the situation is. I need to do dishes or make dinner, or I need 20 minutes of mommy time, then it's here, take your iPad or whatnot, right? I've seen it done. I mean, being a mom, I can understand to a certain extent, but think back when we were children, that's not what we were told to do. It was go play outside, or it was go do a puzzle. Well, for me anyways, I don't know about you.
Well, it was basically don't get caught by the cops. Oh.
What about when you're really little, though?
Yeah, well, don't get caught by the cops. Like we played cops and robbers for real. I shouldn't say that. Yeah, well, I wouldn't say it was bad. I was just like a rebel. So like, I mean, I was never a Nintendo kid was not my thing. Like, I'm probably the last generation that remembers a time in life where there was no internet. Like, really remembers it. Like, there's a big portion of my life, my elementary life, that, like, I didn't even really see a computer with internet capacity till I was maybe 15. So that's only like 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast things go. I'm just trying to think how old I was. I don't know, junior high.
Yeah. So
with that annoying dial-up.
See, I'm saying after dial-up.
Oh, yeah.
I was about 15 when I saw after dial-up, where it was like a little bit more high speed. You could call upon it. Like, all of the computers in the same room could all work on the internet at the same time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But there was probably a computer in my classroom since grade 2. Really. Like, Unison Icon is what we had.
Yeah.
In Ontario, which was actually developed by Microsoft for just Ontario kids.
Cool.
Yeah. And so yeah, that's where we first started learning computer. And so I started learning how to type, I think, in grade 3.
I can't remember. Personally, I don't know.
Well, my little brother doesn't even know how to write. Like, he doesn't have a signature. Like, at all. He prints his fucking name. He printed his fucking name on his bank statements. What the fuck? Like, what the fuck?
It's so hard to imagine. Is that just your brother, though, or is that a common thing for people your brother's age?
His girlfriend's the same thing. And, like, so I had a conversation with my mom, and we were talking about what they're going to do for their future. And I was like, you know what? Really? They don't know. I mean, you and I had a conversation about what is e-commerce, or what is the economics going to look like in the future. You know, we're so afraid of the Middle East becoming this huge corporate, and they are so far in the fucking Stone Age. They're never coming close to the technology that we're looking at.
Where we are?
Yeah. not in anywhere near of the future. And when we look at China and the Asian
aren't they way ahead of us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's real competition.
Yeah.
So, like, these kids growing up, it's pretty hard to say to them, well, why don't you become a pharmacist? They even know that job is a dinosaur job. So when you're asking them what to do, they literally don't fucking know. I mean, I was talking to a 9 and 10-year-old a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, what do you guys want to do? And they're like, I want to be an AI engineer. What?
Pardon?
Like, when you and I were kids, it was like a doctor or a lawyer, some bullshit like that.
Yeah.
AI engineer is like the next fucking mechanic. That's what they're talking about. Like, that's the next trade. Like, it's so different. So, like, to find these kids who are, I would suggest, in the next revolutionary gap. They're Generation X, these Generation Z kids. For sure. Because they're still trying to figure out what the next fucking revolution is going to be. That's why there's so much innovation from millennials.
Yeah.
Really. And we haven't even gotten into the place where we have money yet. We're still young and 30. You know, really. You're going to see a huge shift when we're 40 and 50. And we're really running the world. Like, Generation X lost it all, man. The baby boomers are still around in the workplace.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Generation X is having a fuck of a time becoming management even. Right? So, like, they're going to retire, and we're going to be right in there right after them. There's not so much of a time where we're going to have a Generation X ruling. Millennials are going to rule for a long time.
Yeah, I think so too.
And because of that, Generation Z is going to be really stuck in a place where they're going to be caught having to be amicable to that. And then we're going to have these things where, like, there's no patience. We know somebody in our direct who we both know. They have no patience. They exhibit this need it now mentality.
Yeah.
And because of that, it's a detriment. And then when we look at kids, they have a need it now mentality, but they don't know why they fucking need it.
Yeah.
right? Like that's kind of the picture that I'm painting here with like my little brother. He doesn't know why he needs it.
He just does.
Yeah. Just got to keep up with the Joneses. And you and I had that as well. Mm-hmm. I think it's a lot different though where we're at in our age now where we're almost like, fuck, I need to lose all this shit. How do I
feel that way big time. Yeah.
Like, how do I get rid of this? Yeah. Like this is keeping me down. Mm-hmm. You know, we're not in the world to like buy shit, really. You know what I mean? I think we see past that. So, yeah, the patience thing, I can't say I always had it, but I have it more so now. But yet I've seen a lot of people in our generation that don't have patience, and I'm wondering, does that come from, you know, gaming? Does that come from Nintendo when it was Mario Brothers? You know, Mario and Luigi, right?
Yeah.
Like, so then the other thing is that we see is tech conditioning our children into the chase for dopamine. I mean, if the cell phone's doing it, and we know that the cell phone was engineered by these gaming psychologists in order to trigger dopamine to pull you in, one might be able to conclude that, yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, so what are we setting our kids up for? You and I had a conversation in the beginning of this month, at the beginning of this topic of, is addiction a precursor from our genes?
Mm-hmm.
Well, is it or is it? So is it nature or nurture? Because if we're going back to the argument of nature or nurture, your cell phone is a deadly, deadly thing.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when it comes to emotional hostility, right? And not understanding why it is they're already drawn to it. It's scary.
Yeah, it's something that nobody thinks about either because a cell phone is just... It's strange if you don't have a cell phone.
Well, and then how would you work with somebody if they didn't have one?
You can't really.
I mean, I'm at a place now.
Do people even have house phones anymore? Those are pretty rare, are they not?
I have one here.
They're still pretty rare.
The studio has one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not trying to play devil's advocate, but there are some people who still have it.
Yep.
And I guess the other thing is even when this podcast gets going, I no longer have to be on the computer and all that. I'm planning on going to a flip phone. Like a burner, what us drug dealers used to call it.
Yeah.
You know, I'll buy a fucking burner and then that's it.
Yeah.
I don't want a smartphone. I fucking hate it. And like even last night I went out with my partner. Justin didn't bring a cell phone. Mm-hmm. Left that bitch at home.
It's nice though, right?
Oh, it's second I
There's
can
no need
do
to
it.
have
It's gone.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and buy an alarm clock so that my cell phone is no longer in my room.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
That's
like,
so smart.
Like I still put my cell phone in my kitchen as opposed to in my room, and I'll walk across the fucking house to shut the alarm off now.
Yeah.
Because I just don't want it in there.
Within arm's reach.
It's horrible. It's like the most horrible thing ever in the world, I think.
You know what that makes me think of when I was in treatment and
no cell phones.
No cell phones, no computers. Oh, that's not true. There was one day a week, I think it was Wednesdays. If you were lucky and got to that sign-up sheet soon enough, you could schedule in like 10 or 15 minutes on a computer every Wednesday. That was it. And that's pretty much if you have to pay bills online or whatever the case being. But yeah, we didn't have any sort of cell phone or internet access or anything. And like I actually had like a $10 alarm clock next to my bed. And it was refreshing. It really was. Like everything changes the way you interact with the people around you. You have no choice but to...
Did they go through with you how to declutter your Facebook when you get out of treatment?
No. I don't remember talking about social media very much at all.
I actually developed a program for that.
Okay.
So we have, and I've worked with some drug and alcohol counselors and some psychologists about how to go through the process of that. Because if there's one thing that we do see for a lot of relapse is that call. That Facebook call.
I'm pretty sure I didn't go on mine for a long time, and I had deleted so many people off of it.
And it happens that some people are able to do it, and it happens where, again, a mutual friend that you and I have is unwilling to delete some of those people off of their Facebook.
Yeah.
And that's very unfortunate. That's somebody who's not full in. That's not full. And again, this is a whole new angle to our generation and our social outputs. Now, all that being said, what do you think the ramifications of tech from your childhood are to you today? And let's parallel that to what we could perceive the ramifications are for your children. So let's start off in the good column. Access to information is
that's
unreal.
Obviously the big one. Yeah.
You and I really don't have to learn a fucking thing, but how to ask a Google question.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
The other thing is to promote and sell. Marketing tools are right there in front of you.
Yeah.
And people have these little gadgets in their hand that is basically a walking billboard.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay, so that's good for you and I business-wise. It's also, we can put in the con list, detrimental, because now we have access to buying shit right at our fingertips.
Yeah, online shopping.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's horrible, right? That's a detriment. Now, another...
Isn't that bad for stores as well, the online shopping thing? Like
well, we killed Sears, and we killed
it's all from online shopping, right?
Yeah, so that's how powerful.
People way prefer online. I mean, you don't have to leave your house if you don't want to,
and you don't have to deal with people.
Yeah, no crowds.
That's the next thing we're going to get into.
Yeah.
So, and when I read this next list out to you, I'm interested to see how you react to it a little bit. I'm interested to see your reaction to it. So, I also think that technology is giving social anxiety to where people don't like to physically interact with each other.
No.
Right? Like
they don't.
So let me ask, do you know what agoraphobia is?
No.
So agoraphobia is when you're afraid to leave your house.
Leave your house. Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah.
When you first had your child, you obviously didn't leave your house very often because you're like kind of shut in with your kid, right? Or did you leave your house?
I did. Yeah.
So lucky you.
Mm-hmm. But not to go far. Like from my house to my sister's, that was 10 minutes away.
Sure. Now, but I think in the same step, you will find attributes of agoraphobia with mothers who have postpartum depression.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see them shut in.
Yeah.
Right? And you'll be able to recognize this. Now what we're starting to see with some females is because they're already agoraphobic at a young age, that when they do have offspring, postpartum is in the onset of days after giving birth.
Wow.
Days.
Wow.
Is the new I wouldn't say norm, but the new insight by psychologists that they're starting to see. So when you see like teenage pregnancy
mm-hmm.
and they give birth, they're having postpartum still in the hospital.
Like almost instantly.
Yeah, because of the whole agoraphobic piece. They literally were tied up for 9 months in their house.
Yeah.
Went and had a kid, and now they're losing their shit.
Well, what are all the symptoms of agoraphobia? Like, what is making the person so scared? What are the factors behind it?
It's
like
just
germs, people.
Not even germs.
Not
it's just
germs?
meeting
Okay.
people. It's just meeting people, seeing people, being in, feeling like you're not a part of the group.
That was me after treatment.
There you go.
Like big time.
Yeah.
Big time. I remember I went to K-Days and I was fresh out of treatment and I was probably one of the most uncomfortable I've ever been.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was scared, petrified. I felt like I was being stared at. Like, I mean, there's thousands of people around. I'm sure I was not noticed, but it was so strange and awkward for me.
And then there's that saying like, you're just not that fucking important.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you recognize that and you finally take that into effect.
Yeah.
That you're just not that important.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very similar to that. But a lot of that is because you don't trust yourself. Agoraphobia isn't so much that you don't trust yourself. You just feel safer within the confines of your wall. So for instance, when I was on house arrest, I wasn't allowed to leave. You know how fucking hard it was to get out of my house? I was still afraid the second I came out of the door that the cops would jump me.
Yeah.
It was hell, man.
Yeah.
Hell. trying to get past that mentally. That was the hardest time. I almost would have preferred prison had I not died in prison, as opposed to being in my own house like that.
Yeah.
I was paying for my cell.
Yeah, really.
I've been paying for my cell.
Yeah.
It was fucked up. It was so fucked up. And sure, you could leave for work and all that stuff, but you always feel as if somebody's following you. You're being watched. God forbid you get pulled over.
Yeah.
Like all that stuff, man.
Just on edge constantly.
What happens if my vehicle goes to kaput and I have to get a tow truck and I'm late to get to my... Oh, my God. So the whole time you're worrying.
Worst case scenarios running through your head.
Yeah, all the time. All the time you're waiting for that other shoe to fall, right? So agoraphobia is very similar to that. And then eventually you're just like, fuck it, I'm not leaving.
Yeah, just easier.
Yeah, what if I get hit by a car? Blah, blah, blah. What if it's the what if world,
oh,
right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the ramifications from technology in the same breath. I think what ends up happening is you're like, well, it's better to be here. I'm not going to... What if I don't have, like... internet access when I'm at the cafe? Who gives a fuck? Right? Like, who got to that?
Yeah.
Right? Like, what does that matter? Now, the other thing is gaming addiction a precursor to addiction? Do you think it is?
I think so, for reasons like having low self-esteem. I mean, if you're in your bedroom gaming for hours at a time instead of socializing with other people, your self-esteem is probably going to be pretty low. Or if you don't have a social circle except for the one that's online, then you might feel a little low about yourself. You'll probably develop shitty eating habits. You'll probably, like, there's so many just unhealthy things to it, I think, anyways, that's my opinion, that when you develop feeling like shit about yourself, or you're like, man, I have no friends except for in virtual reality, then you realize that you can only socialize if you have a couple of drinks. Or
so check this out. 9 signs to know that you're a gaming addict. Okay?
Okay.
9 signs. And watch. I'm just going to leave it blank for you. But it was pretty mind-blowing for me. Number 1, preoccupation with video games. Living in all their past video game experiences.
Okay.
So, okay. 2, with withdrawal symptoms. Okay. Mm-hmm. Irritability, anxiety, boredom, cravings, or sadness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tolerance. We have a tolerance issue. So this is number 3. The need to increase exposure time.
Okay.
And finish the level. Okay. Now.
Oh my goodness.
4. Unsuccessful attempts at controlling exposure time. Okay?
Yeah. Oh, okay. This is just ridiculous.
Watch.
Yeah.
We'll get into it. So I'm going to read them all out, and then we'll get into it. Okay. Yeah. 5. Loss of interest of previous hobbies. So it becomes one focal point. 6. Continued excessive use. Okay. 7. Has deceived family friends about the exposure time towards their video games. 8. Play vids or video games to have a release of negative feelings. 9. Loss of employment or relationships due to the inability to maintain the relationships due to the necessary need of exposure time to your video games.
Yeah.
How identical is that to an alcoholic?
It is absolutely identical, like to a T.
So if we are allowing these gaming psychologists with our phone and also with video games to call these people in, how much responsibility is it upon them? I mean, it's one of these things. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Let me reframe that. There is no responsibility on an alcohol manufacturer to say you may become an alcoholic if you enjoy this beverage.
Right.
We do, however, say to tobacco companies, if you decide to enjoy this tobacco product, the likelihood of you becoming an addict is highly likely.
Yes.
And secondly, it's highly likely you're going to get cancer.
Yeah.
Well, now if we look at alcoholism, highly likely to get addicted. Mm-hmm. Okay, if you drink all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Is it addictive? Sure it is. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people who are alcoholics out there. Not as many as the 30s, but there's still a lot of alcoholics out there. Mm-hmm. Is it likely to get liver cancer from drinking? Probably.
Definitely higher than non-drinkers.
It's a higher risk than non-drinkers, right? Now, if we look at gaming, if you play games to an over-limited exposure, what's the likelihood you're going to be attracted to finishing that level? Because that's where we first started with our alcoholism. I got to finish the bottle.
Yeah,
I'm not done.
Finish the bottle.
I'm not done until it's done.
Even at drugs, you're not going to leave a little bit of a baggie.
Cocaine might go bad. You got to do it all.
Right? Like it's just
like the incident.
That mentality.
Yeah. So when we're looking at
like
these
they'd
nine
rather
signs,
be late for work because they haven't finished that level yet. They keep dying, but
fuck it. I'm calling in sick.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't care.
I've been up all night.
Level.
I've been up all night long on Monster fucking energy drinks.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. I'm finishing this bitch.
Yeah.
Let's finish this bitch.
Right. Oh, I'm not telling my girlfriend that I missed her call because I'm in the middle of a video game.
You have done that?
Like, no. Like just that same mentality. Like, oh, I'm not telling my mom or my sister that I'm drinking right now. Like, I can see gamers saying I'm not going to tell my girlfriend or
can you take my daughter and then you go home and play video games for like 4 or 5 hours?
Have a marathon.
I mean, we laugh. I mean, we're sitting here having a bit of a joke, but you know what? It's the same seriousness as alcoholism.
No, it is serious.
You know, and then to see that like they have treatment centers now just for video games. And
Are there warnings on them?
No. But there's no warnings on alcohol either.
Right.
There is in America, but there's none in Canada. There's no warnings on that. There's warning on our tobacco here.
Right, yeah.
But there's no warnings on our alcohol. So what I'm getting at is what we need to recognize is they've been engineered. Games have been engineered to have a draw into them.
Well, yeah.
Were cigarettes engineered that way? I wouldn't suggest they were.
Well, and they certainly have.
I mean, they had provocative. They have provocative advertising.
Yeah.
Right. Alcohol is provocative advertising as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so like you and I, as sober alcoholics, it's difficult to watch cable TV without ads.
Oh, there's always ads. Yeah.
Okay, so
absolutely.
you want to hear my solution about that? Stop watching cable TV. Mm-hmm. Only watch TV on television because you can pick your ads then. And if you get an alcohol ad, you press the 3 little things and you say, I'm offended. And YouTube will never let you see it.
Oh, yeah. If you're watching it online.
Or you can buy premium.
Yeah.
You never see that again.
Yeah,
okay?
I actually have done that before. I don't know if it was Facebook or YouTube, but it was an alcohol commercial. And yeah, I did the same thing. I don't want to see it. And they said, why? And I said I was offended.
Yeah.
Even though at this point, it really doesn't bother me that much.
But it's done. It's gone, right?
Yeah.
My point is you get to control your advertising.
Exactly.
Okay. Can you control your advertising for games? No, because the fucking phone is the game.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah.
You're fucking lock, stock, and barreled into that bitch. See how dangerous it is? That is fucking dangerous, man. And we're setting our kids up for the same thing. I'm not talking Alex Jones shit here. This is deducing with common sense, right? We've deduced this to a commonality. These things are engineered for us to be attracted to them. They're engineered to give us a dopamine feed. They're engineered for us to continuously use them. Mm-hmm. I mean, I use my phone for work as much as I use this laptop that's recording this episode right now.
Yeah.
I use both the same amount.
Mm-hmm.
So also, when we see these children looking at the phones, say, oh, here, play the game.
Yeah.
Guess what you really did? Like, never again will I let any kid play fucking Angry Birds on my phone. Not happening. I'm not letting any kid touch my phone. I want them to make believe like I don't even have a fucking phone.
Yeah.
See? Dangerous.
Yeah. Actually, just this week, I started, when I'm not on my phone, I have it out of sight completely from my daughter.
And then you think, like, did your parents smoke? When you were younger?
Yeah, my mom.
So did you smoke and then quit?
Yeah, I smoked for 10 years.
Okay, so yeah, me too. Congratulations.
Yeah.
You see, though, why we started smoking was it was inferred upon us when we were young.
Yeah, but the thing with me is I thought I used to give my mom shit all the time and tell her to stop smoking or I was going to throw her cigarettes out.
So did I.
Yeah.
But guess who told us to do that? School.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. We'd learn about how bad it was in school
100%.
and I'd come home and be like, Mom, you're going to die.
Yeah, melodramatic.
Yeah, very dramatic.
It must be half Italian or something.
Yeah.
So,
and then by like probably 16, I was in high school. I started stealing prime times and cigarettes from friends at parties, and by 17 I was buying packs of smokes.
And then we're doing the same thing with our kid. What are we going to develop with these kids, man, if we keep going along this fucking path? And it's come to a point in education, like I said, we've lost our parental guidance. It's gone. You can't pick.
Do you know why, or what is your theory, or maybe you do have an actual understanding as to why they use iPads now in school? Is it just a convenience thing? Is it because it's easier?
Well, I think it's two-pronged. I think, one, it's easier. Secondly, you have to teach the upcoming taxpayers how to compete with China.
I guess if it's being used everywhere, then you might as well teach them young.
You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice because that's where it's going. And if you don't keep up with the commercial, you're going to get left behind. And Canada, government of Canada or government of America needs those taxpayers.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom was saying, my brother's 17 years old and he's out. He's graduated.
Mm-hmm.
And, fuck it, I'll just say it. My mom said he should have never graduated because he didn't fucking earn it. We do the same thing here in Alberta. Nobody fails. They have a no-fail policy. Why do you think that is? Because they need taxpayers.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit about going to university or any of that bullshit. They just want you in the fucking work field
in the workforce,
to start paying taxes.
Yeah.
That's the reality. I mean, we've all missed it. And it seems like some Alex Jones shit here. But what the fuck else is the reason? I mean, I failed grade 2.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't meet the fucking level. I didn't make the I didn't make the criteria.
Yeah.
And that's fine. It's fine to say that. But all of a sudden now we have this mentality like there's zero fail. You're not allowed to have loss. All this. Why the fuck are we doing that? It makes no damn sense. And the only sense that makes any sort of realistic reality is they need taxpayers.
So wait a minute. Everybody gets a diploma now?
Yeah.
That is news to me.
When you go to high school, it's very hard to fail at a high school. If you failed at a high school, I don't know, my friend. That's harder than passing. I'm not even kidding you. Like, it's harder than passing. They'll jeopardize you.
Yeah.
They'll say you're in jeopardy. You're gonna make it.
They'll make sure you make it.
Like, it's very difficult to see that you're not going to.
It wasn't always that way though.
No. But like I said, you and I, there wasn't such a burden upon us for tax-paying dollars. Now there's a huge burden. Baby boomers are fucking retiring.
Yeah.
Hey, we don't have enough people to pay that off. So they changed the parameters to let people out into the real world to make money so that there's more working force in order to pay that off.
Right.
It's economics, man. They look at us like cattle. We're just cattle. That's all we are. And the only way the government can survive is to make sure that there's this amount of income coming in from taxes. You realize here in Canada, taxes are illegal? They can only tax slaves. Read Black's Law. That's exactly what it says. Slaves are the only people who pay taxes in Canada.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. That's no bullshit.
What?
I'm not kidding you. Read Black's Law here in Canada. It's the Black's Law here in Canada. For anybody for the listeners, is basically where we get our definitions for the vernacular that we use when we write bills and make bills into laws. Okay, so they didn't use Webster's dictionary for the vernacular to write a bill to make a law. They went to a thing called Black's Law Book, which is basically our dictionary.
Okay.
And then that is the vernacular that they use in order to write these laws. So you're looking at it, you're looking at the law. However, the definitions of the words that they use are not the definitions that you know of.
Right.
Your definition comes from
Webster's, yeah.
Their definition comes from Black's Law Book. So they're looking at it as like, slaves only pay taxes. That's no shit. That's like still the way it is today. And the only reason why Canadians pay taxes is for relief of men who came back from World War I and II. It's the only reason why we have welfare or social assistance. And it's the only reason why we have taxes. If it wasn't for that, apparently the government could run on its own. But you see, once they started claiming taxes, the government became a corporation and started meddling in business. It's a business. Government is a business. Now, when you look at the services of the government, that's why it says the services of Canada.
Yeah, yeah.
Look at all those ministries, air quotes, that say these are the services we provide you.
Yeah.
Alberta Health Services.
Services, right.
Ontario Health Services. So you subscribe to those services through your tax money. That's what you've done. Yet you can't pick where your tax money goes and the services that you want out of it.
No, of course not.
They take that upon themselves to do for you.
Yeah.
And this is what's mind-blowing and so frustrating about Canadians is that we're so damn trusting.
Yeah.
They'll do the best for me. You realize in France, when they take taxes off your paycheck, they have to tell you exactly what went where. And you get a list every 2 weeks when you're paid.
Of where your taxes are being used.
Went. Exactly. That's an accountability I would love to see in Canada, but they'll never do it. I mean, Trudeau just gave a quarter of a billion dollars to China to go build roads and pipelines in China through a Chinese bank. Yet we're in a trade war with them and they won't even buy our fucking canola. We just lost $25 billion in a trade war with China because they won't buy our canola. Then this fucknut goes and gives them $250 million just to go blow. Yeah, you're shaking your head.
Yeah,
right?
I know. I'm speechless. I'm literally speechless right now. Just dead air on the mic there for a sec.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's what's happening. So is it that preposterous to believe that cell phones, so on and so forth, is just a manufacturer for more? I would consider it almost technocratic Darwinism for our children. Either some are going to rise to the top and be able to use this technology in a way that doesn't intervene with their life, or they're going to become a techno addict.
Yeah.
And the likelihood of them being a techno addict is more likely. We're introducing something that's a dopamine feed. You see, your kids get a dopamine feed when they look at you, right? When your daughter looks at you in your eyes and you look at her and there's that feeling of like love.
Oh, yeah.
Right? She feels that.
Yeah.
She feels that. You know where she's getting that as well? Looking at your fucking phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why is it when you look at a heroin addict, right? And a heroin addict says, but I love heroin. Why do you think that happens? Because there's a dopamine surge from that. And that the transference from the heroin is the same transference of the love that their parents couldn't give them. Or they did at a very limited exposure of time as in their childhood.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
Yeah.
So guess what the fucking phone is doing? I mean, that's the spelling is on the wall. The words are there, man. Put it together. Mm-hmm. This is something I agree with Elon Musk. We need serious fucking oversight. We need normal people to really weigh in on that. Because we're standing on the verge of something we have no idea we're going to let out of the fucking gates here. These are the thoughts that keep me up at night, man. They freak me the fuck out. I'm glad I don't have children now. I'm glad. Yeah. I'm glad. Because looking at the onset from here on out, it's bleak or it's sunny. But there's
no happy medium.
There's no happy medium. Our television was close to a happy medium. But even that was a fuck up. Because you look at how much that fucked us up. How much do you think the television fucked you up?
Never thought about it.
So if we look at like kids that grew up in the 30s, right?
Yeah.
They were hanging out with like horses and bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? And they started seeing like cars come and stuff. Do you think you'd have enough balls to walk up to a horse at like 10 years old? Did you ever see a horse by then?
Yeah, I did. And no, horses still scare me to this day.
There you go. There you go. The comfortability isn't there.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I spend a lot of time on acreages and whatnot. So maybe I was around farms and whatnot more than some other people were, but...
Now, the other thing is how trusting are you of programs on TV?
Well, I don't watch that much TV.
Okay. Now, but in your teens.
All the time. Yeah.
It was holy.
Yeah, all the time.
It was gospel.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why was that reinforced?
I guess it was just out of habit.
They could have been lying to you. Would you know?
No.
Nope. No. And then when the internet came out and you started finding out that they might be lying about things, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Right? But what I'm saying is what the TV really did was it put you in a place where you were naively ignorant and blissful towards what was really happening.
Oh, for sure.
That's
that I can agree with 100%.
It caged your mind.
Yeah, because I notice now that I'm trying to open up my mind and expand and learn new things, how ignorant I really am to a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then even then, when you look at the internet, you're like, how much of this is bullshit?
Yeah.
And then when you look at the deducement of what we just did in a common sense way, it's scary to see that it boils down to taxpayers. I mean, I never thought that at the beginning of the onset of this month, going into moms and parenting, so on and so forth, we'd be going down this line of like the mass development of our children in a way that the government looks at it. Mm-hmm. Would have never saw that filter. And I think the only reason why that started coming is, I mean, you can't deny the fact that fucking phones are made by gaming psychologists. Why is it that you're addicted to your phone? It's not because of a will thing. Why were you addicted to alcohol? That's not will. You can't will away your alcoholism.
No.
You can't will away the addiction that you have to your phone.
Yeah.
But your fucking phone is necessary.
Absolutely. Even that's why now I try to, it's I guess it's not totally necessary. The only thing it's necessary for is if you want a convenient way to get a hold of someone or for work purposes.
Sure.
But
how necessary is it for your child to have an iPad though in school?
Well, that's why I was asking, like, I don't understand why it's not just whiteboards anymore. Like,
yeah.
I remember when it was chalkboards and then it turned into whiteboards. See,
I never had whiteboards.
No, it was chalkboards the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember how cool it was that we. Do you remember those projection screens that were like on the little metal box? They could wheel it into the room, and then how old school those seem now when you look at it. And then I remember the first time there was a projection screen coming from the roof, and you
could also watch a video on it.
Yeah, I was like,
that never happened for me until like university.
Yeah,
and even then in university we didn't get very much of that stuff. It was like, go watch this here. Mm-hmm. That's really what it was.
Yeah,
because university only became show up for a lecture, show up for a talk. This is the ethics thing, blah blah blah, and that's it. Mm-hmm. Like university made a lot more sense to me than like the school that you and I came from. Like university just made sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, this is the class, and this is what you're going to get out of it, blah, 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 blah. Like, that just made more sense to me than, like, science. You don't have to go to science now. What the fuck? I just did English. Or I just did French. Or I just did,
Yeah.
That whole thing didn't make sense to me. I mean, I think we're going to see, like, things like Udemy and stuff for our kids. That's what it's going to become. Like, that's the positive side. Right? That's the positive side of giving your kid an iPad and teaching them that way. Okay? But I would suggest that what we need to start doing then is we need to start breaking the confines of the physical school.
How so?
You don't have to go to school anymore. They just sit at home with their iPad being taught at home with their parents. But I think the biggest hurdle to get over is like having a lifestyle like you have, where people can accommodate. But again, if we're going to be honest about it, that's more along the line of a universal income.
Yeah.
You'd have to have a universal income in order to have your lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, it's very difficult to accommodate what you need financially, socially, and economically in this lifestyle. We work very hard for this lifestyle. It's not easy. And so and you still need a basic income so that you can try to make extra money off of the things that you like to do.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, that's what I'm saying. There needs to be a universal basic income, but I'm still opposed to that. You know, I don't really like that idea either. I mean, we have that. We have how many people on welfare right now, and they're not chasing their fucking dream.
No.
They're getting high.
Yeah.
Because they have no fucking purpose
or
in life. Or
sitting at home playing games.
Yeah, like yeah. Again, they're getting high because apparently what this thing is saying
with that list you read, jeez,
you're a fucking junkie.
Yeah.
You know, like go get some sunlight on your face. It's bleak, man. It's bleak, but it's also positive. What do you think some of the positivity could come out of the future? What do you like when you're looking at it, I guess prior to this show?
Yeah,
and you were trying to be positive about it. Trying to be positive about it. Like what did come to mind?
Nothing really, even before the show. I don't know.
You didn't think that there was anything positive coming out of the way that technology would become a new inference almost for child development?
I just think because it's so different that it's hard for me to wrap my head around. Even like just picturing my daughter in school with an iPad and then thinking back to when the way I learned how to read and write, and you talking about how your brother doesn't know how to handwrite. It just seems so different to me. I don't like it. I wish there was more old school methods being used. But again, I guess you got to keep up with the times, right? Like,
because then maybe your child,
because then you were
is irrelevant to the work field.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And I keep saying like they want more taxpayers, but it's really the irrelevance of being a participant in the new work fields. That's really what becomes. If we keep staying in the old time ways, then they're irrelevant. Yeah. Right? Not even so much that the government can't claim taxes, but let's face it, who's really investing in your child's future?
Yeah, it would be just holding her back. Really. Yeah.
Yeah. And the person who's really, or the entity that's really investing in your child's future is the government. Mm-hmm. They're the ones to stand the gains and the benefits in the end. They're the ones who get the tax money. They're the ones who paid the education up front.
So what do you think are some benefits?
Well, I think the access to information, 100%. But I think it's a dangerous game because the likelihood of falling into active addiction, of gaming addiction or whatever, is a real fucking thing. And then the other thing that I see is that the microcosm of social benefits is not there.
Yes. And I was just thinking of when something I seen on the news, this was quite a while ago, but it was teaching young teenagers just proper interview skills, how to look somebody in the eye when you speak to them, how to shake their hand properly, how to sit with your posture a certain way instead of hunched over reading your cell phone, right? Just, I guess those are more the old school things that I'm thinking of that you just automatically learned in school.
Yeah,
it's strange that those things have to be taught to teenagers to make eye contact
and then again,
when you shake someone's hand.
Here we are, like, floating the idea of saying abolish the actual school building and let them learn at home. But then in the same...
then I feel like
but then there's no social. But then there's no social. And then that's why I'm saying, sure, the parent would have to do what they have to do, but there would have to be a universal basic income in order for that to happen.
Yeah, and then you would have to make time for extracurricular activities in order to get those social interactions happening.
100%. I mean, have you ever read the book Brave New World?
No.
You have to read that.
Okay.
Because I would suggest the book that you're reading now, put that on hold and go read Brave New World.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because it's going to scare the shit out of you.
Oh, great.
And then go and look at who actually Aldous Huxley is the author of that book, and then go and see who Aldous Huxley comes from and the family that he comes from. And then if you read the autobiography of Aldous Huxley, he basically says this is the stuff that they were talking about in the 1920s of how society will look in the future and what's going to scare you.
Chelsey. That's how accurate it is?
Yeah. To right now.
Wow.
Right now. And that book was written as a sci-fi book.
Oh my goodness. And is there a book out there that predicts the future from this point?
It's not even a prediction, because they're basically bringing you into a microcosm of what the brave new world looks like.
Okay.
And then you're going to live in that brave new world throughout the book. And you're going to be like, holy shit.
Living in current times.
And then the next one is read George Orwell's 1984. Because those two books one is the conservative version of the fascist ideology, and the other one is the liberal version of what leftist socialism looks like. And I shouldn't say that conservative is fascism, because that's not really the reality. 1984 just goes along the fascist ideology of what that would have looked like. 1984 too is a very scary book, and when you read these things and you look at our society, you're like, oh my God. The horror of the book is that it's so close to, it's a parallel.
Right. It's spooky how accurate it is.
Yeah. And yet it seems preposterous, but if it's that accurate, how preposterous is the book really? And then, like I said, when you look up who Aldous Huxley is, where he comes from, the people that he was around, and then read just the excerpts of his autobiography, you're like, oh my fucking God.
Yeah, I'm super interested now.
It's scary. And how they have like the child farms. Wait till you read that. You'll be my God. And we're already there. CRISPR, look up CRISPR. I mean, we already have pig fetuses giving birth to human hearts. We're doing that. It's called animal hybrid human organs. We're doing that right now. That's happening right now.
Where?
In America.
Pig. Okay, wait. Say it again.
So
pigs are giving birth?
What? Pigs are culminating.
Yeah.
Human hearts out of pigs. And then putting that into people's bodies. So it's an animal hybrid part for human organ use.
Okay.
Do you know how that is fucked up?
Yeah.
That's fucked up. That's happening right now.
Huh.
CRISPR came from the AIDS, like looking at a cure for AIDS. That's where CRISPR came from. And we use that shit right now. Like we're using that shit right now. That's scary shit when you look at it, man. I mean, it's great for life.
Well, yeah.
But it's scary. Like it's scary to see the line of it. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I love this podcast, man. It allows us this time to go and look into this stuff, and you're like, like remember when you looked in the Planned Parenthood thing?
Yeah.
You would have never thought.
No. Didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
That's why I said ignorance was bliss in that case.
And you almost wished that you would have stayed ignorant.
Almost, yeah.
But once you open that door, you can't go back.
No, there's no turning back.
Right? I mean, how likely now are you to talk about Planned Parenthood with a positive vibe?
0 chance.
Did you know Planned Parenthood is in Ottawa, right? Like they are a Canadian entity.
I knew they were Canadian, but I didn't know
Well,
Ottawa.
they're in Canada. They're not Canadian, but they are in Canada. Yeah. Wish they were gone. Anyways, that's an hour and 20 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I feel like what I got out of this at the end is, how am I going to homeschool my daughter while still making enough income and getting her into enough extracurricular activities so she's still social and never seeing my cell phone, but yet learning from an iPad under my constant supervision.
But you know what, though? At the same time, so remember we were talking about private school. You think the rich are going to feed their kids into that? Nope.
Well, I don't know. I better go find out.
That's a whole nother world, right? Because they're not subject really to government money or any. They don't need that.
Right.
They're insulated from that. So like they're not their kids don't have that. You think Mark Zuckerberg's kid walks around with a fucking iPad that has no. Not even a little bit. Not even. You think Jack Dorsey's kid walks around with fucking Twitter on some? No, not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. This is why I remember before the show I was saying, in an increment, only do 2 hours working on this stuff.
Yeah.
And in that 2 hours increment, okay, I got to do a Twitter tweet. I've got to do an Instagram thing. I got to do research on this. I got to find a guest. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
There's a reason why. Yeah. Because then you can actually say to yourself, I'm only doing this for 2 hours. And then gone.
Yeah. And you know what? I kind of already have a 2-hour section of each day that I do that. My only problem is going back in the afternoon or a few hours later and automatically opening up an app when really I should just have my phone away. Like I've already done my work stuff.
Yeah. So
it is a habit that I am well aware of.
It's tough. Mm-hmm. That's an addiction to a degree.
Yeah.
Right? It's the onset. Could be the onset, right? So that's it. If you'd like to check out our After the Show blog, you could check it out at www.lifeonlifestermspodcast.com. You'll have the wonderful Chelsey's blogs or my OK blogs on the website. You can also check us out at Twitter, Life on Life's Terms, Instagram, Life on Life's Terms podcast, and your handles are
Chelsey_Life on Life's Terms. That's for Instagram, or Chelsey Kapler for Twitter.
And what else? I think is there. Oh yeah, we're on minds.com.
Yes, we are.
That place is awesome. So we put a bunch of bullshit up on there that never gets taken down because they have this blockchaining shit that doesn't allow them to censor us. That's why we can swear and write stuff like the government sucks on there. However, and so does Facebook. Down with Facebook. Fuck you. So we can do things like that on minds, but sorry, Facebook. I take that back.
We still love you, Facebook.
We still love you a lot. You're awesome. So is Instagram. Anyways, you guys have a wonderful day and tune in till next time.
See you soon.
Peace.